When you actually encounter the love of Jesus, it is so much more real than any of those other relationships that are all great and they're all good and they have this amazing place in the human experience. But God's love, his relationship, and that love that you feel from him is so much more real and fulfilling that's actually what empowers us as the Christian and even non-Christians. I see it all the time. People trying to love from an empty place without God, without Christ, without his love, and they're still trying to love people around, and they do it so unhealthy. They do it so poorly. They love people with the expectation of, what are you going to do for me? I'm going to give you this. What can you give to me? There's such an unhealthy type of love in those worldly relationships that people who've never even understood God or met God, it's foreign to them. They think love is just this emotion, but it's actually a person. It's Jesus, and he's actually the fountain of how to experience love and actually be filled with love so you can love people rightly. And what we find is when we have neglected living with God, remaining with the Lord, is we then find ourselves out in a foreign country, a place we don't belong, trying to be fulfilled from people who have no understanding of how to even fulfill us. And they might even try to give us some of the pods that the swine or the pigs might eat, but it ultimately leaves you starving and almost on the edge of death, to the point where you would actually you'd rather not come back to God as a son, but you'd rather come back as just a slave again. If I could just be a servant. That's what the son thought. The prodigal son says, if I can just return back to my father's house and just be a servant. I don't even need to be a son who has an inheritance or who gets to live in the palace and gets to, eat from the king's table. None of that stuff. Even just the servants of the father's house had much more fulfillment there than somebody who was the richest person out in the foreign country. Because ultimately you squander it away and you're left with nothing.